Well, we're going to have some more fun. It's time for email, where we're going to bring on your email questions. And I don't know, I put them somewhere, so I'm going to read them up here. Tash starts us off and says, Dear Pat, could you please clarify what exactly is grace-based teaching and why is it so prominent today? I mean, to what extent are we subject to the laws of Moses? And does God still punish us as he did in the Old Testament? And for what reasons? How do we know when messages of God's grace are being exploited or used to deceive us?
That is a very lengthy, complex question. Grace is God's unmerited favor. Grace. It is by grace are you saved through faith. It is the unmerited favor of God to us. And so what has been done by some people, the Apostle Paul in his day said, there are those who are teaching, let's sin boldly that grace may abound. And you know what the Apostle Paul said about those people? He said their condemnation is just. In other words, they should go to hell for that. That's basically what the Apostle Paul was saying. Because what he's saying is, you're going to take advantage of God's grace and think, I'm forgiven of everything, and therefore I can do anything I want to do. That is a misuse of God's favor. God is favoring us because we serve him. And Jesus said there are people who are going to come to him and said, you were teaching in our streets. You were there in our midst. And he's going to say, depart from me, you cursed. I never knew you. Because the ones who will have my favor are those who do the will of my Father in heaven. So he also said, not one, you know, the jots or tittles of the little marks, the vowel marks in the Hebrew letters. And he said, until all is fulfilled, not one jot or tittle is going to go from the law. So he didn't come to abolish the law. He came to fulfill the law. So don't get your grace teaching messed up. We are still under the moral law of God, and we want to serve him with our hearts in love. And the love is the commandment that we're under. Okay.
Okay. Sounds like a lot, but it was really good.
Did you get that all right?
I got it. I got it.
Good, you got it. All right.
All right, Casey writes in and says, I've been wanting to live a more Christian life, but I'm struggling to do so. My husband wants nothing to do with a Christian life, and he struggles with drug issues and a little bit of anger as well. Well, on top of this, we have 2 children together. How do I steer my children and myself in the right direction to live a Christian life when I'm living with, I guess the person she's living with is completely opposite. Also, my husband and I both struggle with cigarettes. Please, I need some advice. Help.
Well, the advice is you shouldn't have married that guy in the first place, but you did, and so now you're stuck. So let's talk about what to do with it. You have got to make a decision in your mind that you're going to live for Jesus. Regardless of what your husband does or doesn't do, you're going to live for Jesus. And if you have small children, you're going to take those children with you to church. You're going to teach them the Bible. You're going to pray together. You're going to have family prayers. You're going to say grace over the food. And whether your husband likes it or not, that's too bad. Now, in terms of the cigarettes, you're going to have to say no. I used to smoke a pack and a half a day, so I'm not talking from theory, I'm talking from knowledge. There came a time that I said, I'm not going to get lung cancer, I am not going to do it, and I'm going to kick the habit. It takes 21 days to form a habit, which means that today I don't smoke, the next day, today I won't smoke, the next day, today I won't smoke, the next day, today, for 21 days. And after a while, it reverses. And in my case, it reversed to the point where I couldn't stand the smell of cigarettes. I couldn't stand cigarette butts. I couldn't stand smoke around me. Instead of it being desirable, it was repulsive. Now, that's what can happen, but you have to be strong for those 21 days. And the same thing in your life. You must decide you're going to follow Jesus. And then you're going to begin to study the Word, learn the Word, and get together with those who love him. And even if it's a small group or a little Bible study group or whatever, you're going to meet with people who love the Lord. And you've got to determine to do it. Don't blame your husband, and don't blame the fact that he, you know, is a druggie or whatever. You married him, but nevertheless, perhaps through your godly labor, you can change him.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Can I just jump in and say one little thing? The last thing that you said, well, the whole thing was great, but the last thing that you said was so important, because as women, sometimes we have the tendency, you know, we might be following God, the spouse might not be. And so we want to change that spouse. One of the best things that we can possibly do is do exactly what you said, where you honor the Lord, you love the Lord, you do right before the Lord, and your example might influence the husband. Then you just put him in the hands of the Lord and say, Lord, he's your child. You can do something with his heart. So there you go. All right. Patricia says, Pat, what are penny stocks? Ooh, I don't know. And in your opinion, are they a good investment? Good question.
Well, I mean, it's a huge group. Penny stocks are stocks that sell for pennies. They sell for 25 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents, 10 cents, 8 cents. Yeah. They're cheapos. There's some really good penny stocks. And if they move in a hurry. It doesn't take much to get a stock to go from 10 cents to 20 cents, but you've doubled your money. But they are usually pretty risky. They're not well financed, and they're out doing speculative things. They haven't necessarily built up a track record, nor are they building up earnings. So like any other stock, you've got to study the potential. But many of the really excellent mining stocks and energy stocks are starting out as penny stocks, and then they grow. Study them. You know, you see, well, you just can't say the whole bunch of them. Some of them are frauds, some of them are go bankrupt, and some of them are going to make a fortune. So, you know, study them.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Next question is from Nicholas. And Nicholas says, when I was younger, I felt God called me to the ministry, but I didn't run after it right away. I thought I needed a real college education first, yet couldn't help feeling I was running from God's voice. Now, years later, I finally feel ready to move forward with my calling, only it feels like I'm doing all the work or as if God changed his mind. I don't know if he does, but is this feeling normal for someone in my shoes? I don't want to make the same mistake twice. That's a great question.
Nicholas, I think you missed it, buddy. I think that there's a time in the affairs of men. Shakespeare said there's a tide in the affairs of men. When taken at its flood, leads on to victory. The tide goes and the flood passes, and then you jump in. You remember God told the people of Israel, I want you to go in and possess the land. So they said, okay, we're going to send some spies in to see what's in there. So the spies came back, and they said, oh, they're giants in the land, and we're like bread to them. They'll eat us up. But Joshua and Caleb said, no, God is with us. We can beat them. Let's go in. But the others said no, and so the Israelites said, we can't make it. And so God spoke to them in judgment, and they said, okay, now we'll go in. So they went running into the land, and these giants came after them and beat the daylights out of them because God had lifted his anointing. So in your case, for all the world, it sounds like you've missed that opportunity and the tide has passed you by. Now, I don't know that, but I do believe that what you're saying, you've tried it and somehow it doesn't feel right. I think your day in this one is over, but I may be wrong. You know, I don't know you, I don't know all the circumstances, but that's the biblical message on that one.
Interesting. Well, if you have more questions for Pat, it's really easy. All you have to...
You want to go fight the giants, do it the first time God tells you to get them. Don't wait.
That's right. Do it.